Hello, everyone. Thank you. If you're joining us live, thank you very much. If you're not joining us live, it'll be, basically just the same thing as, watching us live, except, Adelia has to work without a net here. No cursing, Adelia. You should try to keep it down. I know it'll be hard.
Yes,
Welcome to
hard.
Rewatchers Council. Talking killed by death this week, Adelia.
Mm-hmm.
So you can think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer episodes. It's like tears.
Yeah.
Some of them are way high up here. Some of them are, pretty good. And then you have the other tiers. Personally, this is of course not one of my favorite episodes.
No, I did not like this episode at all.
This one I would put even below Ted from this season. Yeah, it's
Ted was definitely had a lighter tone to it than this one did. That's saying
considering what
something.
that's about. Yes. I just looks okay. So we're gonna we'll get into it all in a second here. We'll run through the ridiculous regular spiel, and then we can get into killed by death. Also, of course, I think I mentioned last week that was the as far as I know, only episode ever named after a Motorhead song, Adelia.
Okay.
So there isn't going to be an episode called Orgasmatron or anything like that. I know you're disappointed. Okay,
I'm not.
okay. So the original air date for this particular episode, March 5th, 1998. Now it was written by Dean Batali and Rod Desautels, probably the showrunner helping out and stuff like that. Mostly because this episode was actually supposed to be, well, or was written for the first season. So it has a very first season feel to it. It was
Yeah.
deemed, I guess, not good enough for the first season. I don't know why it was deemed good enough for this season,
Yeah.
considering this season is like banger, 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 Ted, banger, 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 this. And we'll
Yeah.
see what happens next week. Uh, Yeah, it's just like shoehorn a couple of things in the Angelus thing and the stuff. But yeah, we'll talk about. Okay, directed by Darren Serafian. It's the only episode he'll ever direct for Buffy. Let's see, some of the stuff he's done. I know you're thinking right off the top of your head that he directed Death Warrant, the Jean Claude Van Damme movie that I'd never heard of before in my life.
I
Also,
don't know what that is.
no, nobody. I don't think anybody does. House. He's done. He's done the CSIs and Blue Bloods. So he's still
So
working.
all of Ferris's favorite shows then.
Yes, Ferris would be quite familiar with the work of Darren Serafian. I believe that's what he said.
Brennan's in the chat saying hello there, fellow counselors. Hello there,
Hello,
Brennan.
sir. The number one movie is not a surprise, of course. Titanic. The number one song might be a huge surprise for you.
Okay.
It's My Heart Will Go On. I guess not biggest surprise. So, but I think we skip over a week. So I think this was the second week for My Heart Will Go On here at number one for the U.S. And
Okay.
so, and it was only number one for 2 weeks. I think it was a much bigger hit than that. But anyways, so
I'm surprised it was only number 1 for 2 weeks.
yeah, uh, before we went to air, I was telling you, oh, that's what that song is. So
Yeah.
the number one song in the UK is by a band called Corner Shop. The song "Brimful of Asha."
I don't know what that is.
Well, I remember it quite well. As soon as I heard it, I knew it. Yeah, and I always knew just as a song about a 45, but supposedly it goes, it's a brimful of Asha on the 45. I'm not going to sing it because A, I don't want to make anybody run away in terror. B, I just don't want anybody to shut this down. But yeah, brimful of Asha. If you heard it, I think you'd recognize it, especially coming from the 90s. What else? Oh, in Canada, number one song. what Kel Surprise, as she would say, my heart will go on, Celine Dion. Okay, now to the DVD synopsis before we dive deep
Eh.
yeah, into into this wonderful episode. DVD synopsis: while hospitalized with a severe case of the flu, Buffy battles a demon that sucks the life out of children. You know, yep,
It's fairly accurate.
yeah, that was it. Okay, so we're gonna start. I I wrote a lot of notes, for this episode.
I don't know how.
Mostly, okay. So I noticed that when I was writing them, it was almost like what do you know when you have a witness or whatever on the stand that doesn't want to cooperate, one of those things or whatever, and you have to go after them. I was kind of like that. I don't really want to, it's still a Buffy episode, so I don't want to, tear it to pieces. But a lot of it doesn't make any sense. So, anyways, yeah. So Buffy is in the graveyard. She's patrolling, and then all of a sudden the Scooby show up. Say, "Oh, what are you doing here? Why are you?" It's like, "Aren't you supposed to be homesick?" She's like, "Well, no, I can do it." And then, oh, here comes Angel. Of course, they start fighting. He starts actually getting the better of Buffy at the time. Then the Buffy's, let her get punched for a while, which is,
Yeah.
that's not,
Yeah.
it's not very friendly of them. That's your
No, it's
buddy
not.
getting beaten. So eventually they throw something over him. Then Xander gets him some good shots and I think a couple of knees to the head as well. Xander held up for himself pretty good. Then of course they whip up the old crucifixes. Angel gets out of there. And then suddenly, Buffy was having like the sniffles before. All of a sudden, she's fainting. Off to the hospital she goes. Oh, she has to get carried in there. Adelia.
Yeah.
One of those sudden
I
onset fainting flus.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like anything about this episode.
No, it was a little melodramatic. So, anyways, the orderly just takes a look at her and decides she has a high grade fever. Hasn't done
Mhm.
anything. Just look at and
Yeah,
a
it just looks at her.
bunch of fractures. Again,
Yeah.
just quick scan over. Well, that's it. So they call Joyce and they call Giles first or whatever. Xander seems to be taking this way too hard. Whatever. So they need Buffy to stabilize, but she's going to be fine. She has to stay in that hospital, though, for a few days to heal. All right. So she's getting wheeled out, tries to get up, no, you got to rest that whole bit. Goes on about killing vampires, Adelia.
Yeah. I'm glad that could get passed off as hallucinations.
A little fever dream or something like that. Oh, it's a fever making her go nuts. Anyways, this is something okay. Yeah, I wanted to bring this up. How many times have we been in hospitals in this show? A few times.
A few times, yeah.
Has there ever been a visitor for any of those patients besides Buffy? Buffy has everybody there, including a school teacher.
Yeah.
All the other kids don't have anybody. Where are the parents? Where are the parents? It's not going to be the only time I'll say it in this episode too, because it's where are the parents for the rest of these kids?
Yeah.
They
they do mention at one point that the parents had given the doctor permission to do whatever he was doing, but like the parents
and
are
then
nowhere to be found.
Yeah, we'll just go home. It's like, you know what?
Yeah.
Do what you got to do. We're gonna crack a bottle of wine.
Yeah, like where is like it just makes no sense. Nothing in this episode makes sense.
Yeah. Then we get Joyce talking about how Buffy hates hospitals. All right, never mentioned before.
Never mentioned
Because
before.
her favorite cousin
Mm-hmm.
died in a hospital when she was 8.
And Buffy was witness to it.
Was she ever a witness to it?
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, we'll talk about that part eventually. I think a lot quicker than I had planned. Right now, I'm like, well, I got all these. Whatever. We don't need to talk about that much. I'll talk about. This is just, of course, just after Jenny has been slain.
Yeah.
The hands of Evangelist. Uh, Joyce mentions to Giles that she's sorry about Jenny. Buffy said that you two were close. He's like, thanks. I think it's taking it
This was
actually
the weird. This is single handedly one of the
surprisingly
weirder
well.
conversations that we've had in this show.
Yeah.
Like, just like Joyce just randomly bringing this up to Giles. Giles just being like, "Thank you."
He's like, thanks, sir. Yeah, it's been a tough day, but
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna get. I think I'll be fine. I'm almost on the other side of this already, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I just what was the whole point of this episode? I don't understand what the point of this episode was.
This episode is 22, or the series, like the season, was 22 episodes long.
This is filler.
Yeah, 3 of them are 2-parters. This
Mhm.
one's a filler. There's another one. It's a whatever. That's fine. They can't all knock them out of the park, I guess. When you're having to do 22 of them at a time, cut a corner or two, if you know what I mean. Cordelia, I thought was very good in this episode, though. I liked
Cordy was great.
Yeah, I liked how she talked about how her she was worried about the care in the hospital because her friend went in for a Gwyneth Paltrow nose and came out looking like a Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah.
They mentioned maybe Buffy could have that thing on her face done. You know that thing? Nobody knows what the thing is.
Nobody knows what she's talking about.
Yeah. So, and then later on that night, and when I say later on, like we're talking a couple hours, they purposely show 2:27 in the morning. Buffy wakes up to see a kid in her doorway. He leaves, but right behind him is this scary looking, Freddy Krueger guy.
Mm-hmm.
And who, again, she seems fine. It doesn't scare her or anything. She's like, all right, well, guess I'll eventually get my way out of bed. Might as well meander down these halls, see what's going on. Then we get a flashback of her as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you know what how I feel about child acting. And young Buffy in this has done nothing to sway my opinion on children lesbians. You know what I mean? The Celia did a fine job of the only thing she had to do. Of course, that didn't make any sense either. Anyways, Buffy, of course, wakes up and this is all some kind of dream, but somehow the kids think it's real. Somehow she knows this kid's name. She brings up this kid Ryan. She had really never talked to him before. Anyways, whatever. So, the weird thing is like there's elderly patients just awake. Everybody's lights are on. This is 2:30 in the morning. I don't know. Whatever. So we see a security guard emerge from a doorway while she's doing this, by the way. She just looked in the doorway. Nothing, just looked in, like fully looked in, just keeps walking down the hall. Then the security guard slinks out. I'm like, Anyways, did you recognize the security guard at all?
I did not, no.
Yeah, he's Willie Garson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from Sex and the City. He was what was his name? Stanford Blatch on Sex and the City and stuff like that. One of Carrie's best friend, his gay best friend or whatever, but of course he was straight in real life, but whatever. Died of pancreatic cancer in 2021. So rest in peace to Willie Garson. A hell of a poker player, turns out. I guess he was a bit of a nightmare of a poker player. Anyways, we see next morning, or sorry, later that night, we see a body being wheeled out of the children's ward. Delia. The orderly there's like, "Ah, I hate it when we lose a young one. They they just there's other kids in that ward and stuff like that too. It's just like well that's it.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
these kids just hanging around or whatever, waiting to get picked off one by one. They seem quite you know at ease with it almost, which again maybe a little more to do with child acting than that. But anyways, so we get to see a couple doctors there. The one that admitted Buffy, Doctor Wilkinson, played by Juanita Jennings, and she's been again a bunch of stuff, Suits, Torchwood. She was in Basic Instinct, Adelia, as you well know.
Okay. I
Yeah.
don't.
And of course, she's talking with Richard Hurd. Richard Hurd, famous character actor. He has been in. He was in the '80s. He was basically in every single detective show. If you name it, he was in it. Heart to Heart. Matt Houston. He was in All the President's Men, The China Syndrome. He was George's boss on Seinfeld. On and on and on. I remember him best.
Oh, that's where I've seen that guy before.
Yeah.
Seinfeld.
I remember him best. He was John, who was the leader of the Visitors in the '80s miniseries V, which was at the time so great. I don't know if it holds up, to tell you the truth. But speaking of Freddy Krueger, he was in that one. He was nice. He was still one of the nice visitors. Anyways, yeah, the doctors are getting a little upset because Richard Hurd's doctor there is pumping up the fever in these kids to try and burn it out. And that's when the other Wilkinsons were saying, like, I'm going to report you to the board. He's like, go ahead. Parents let me do it. What are you going to do? So, anyways, Buffy's listening in. Then a couple of kids just come up to her. No idea who she is. No idea.
No idea. No,
Yeah.
no.
He tells her that he's going to come again at night, and the grown-ups don't see him. And she's like, oh, yeah, who's this? And the kid's like, Death.
Yeah. I don't even know how to talk about this episode. I just liked it so much. Like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
The scenes make no sense. They just make no sense.
They make no sense. One scene. And it's the next scene. Speaking of scenes, we get a scene that will make this thing not be like the worst episode. Because we got a terrific scene coming up with Angel coming into the hospital, Xander there, and Angel saying like, he wants to, like, you are you gonna try and stop me? It's like, you think you can do it? And he's like, well, maybe I can't, and maybe that security guard can't, or those cops, or all these orderlies. But I'd sure like to see what happens and stuff like that. So good on Xander for being, the Buffy bodyguard. As I think Cordelia sometimes says some worse thing. Always he's being Buffy's white knight and all and stuff like that. Angel then says, you're just mad because I got there with Buffy first. Then he says, you're going to die, and I'm going to be there. Which is a great line. Good for you, Xander.
This was the best scene in the whole episode.
It's the only scene really worth talking about. Because after this, we get another horrible flashback with Buffy and Celia. Buffy is a power girl, and Celia is covered in pillows. And save me, power girl. So all right, rips the pillows off. Oh, she saves her. So look at that. Buffy was always saving people, even when she was a little kid and stuff like that. Doctor comes back shocked that Buffy's fever is gone and stuff like that, and her bones seem to be healed up and stuff like that. I don't know, from all these fractures she got. Some of the Scoobies show up with balloons and stuff like that. And homework that Willow already did.
Yeah, Xander says he brought flowers, but they're actually balloons.
Yeah.
And then Willow says, I brought you homework. And then she says, I did it. All you have to do is put your name on it.
Yeah. In front of a
What?
school teacher. In front of a
Yeah, in
There's
front
a
of
duty of care.
Giles.
There's a duty of care. Come on.
Yeah, like none
Cordy
of this
said
makes
she was
sense.
out of the loop, out of the gift loop.
Yeah,
You know.
I love how Giles was like, that's what people
Yeah, it's
do.
traditional. It's traditional. And so he brought grapes.
He brought
His
grapes.
present was grapes. So they wheel out Buffy. They got to talk shop outside.
Yeah, outside where anyone can hear them. Just anywhere anyone can hear them.
It could have
whatsoever.
been inside and close the door. Would have been, whatever. So he tells them that it could be that it's actual death doing all the kid killing here. Cordy asks if it's because her little friend there, her cousin, died when she was a kid and stuff like that. And again, there's no real reaction hearing anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like maybe you just need to make up something so you don't feel so helpless. And that's when Giles says, "Do you know what tact is?" And she says, "Tact is just not saying the true stuff."
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, good for you, Cordelia. Again, best character in the episode. So Buffy says she's gonna find out what's going on. She's gonna stay. All this talk about how she hates hospitals has to go. It's like, and I'm gonna stay. Why not? So Xander and them say, how can they help? See Cordy and Xander sneaking around the file room. I don't know if it's a file room. I don't know
just
how
looked
these
like cabinets that were full of folders.
Yeah, and like with that 70s kind of wicker stuff.
The very organized hospital.
Full of dead kids too, by the way. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Whatever. So they said, oh, better split up so they can cover more ground. And immediately the security guard is there, stopping Cordy. Not only does Cordy get a little flirty with this guy, it's pretty touchy.
Yeah.
Like, this was going places. When she asked if Xander was jealous. I was like, I don't blame him. Like, she was like grabbing him by the belt buckle and stuff. There's flirty, and then there's like, do you need to? Also, mind you, she's 17 years old. She's just a child.
She's a high schooler. He's a security guard in a hospital. This is very creepy.
Anyways, So, guess what?
It was smart thinking on Cordelia's part to distract the security guard so Xander could get out of there, though.
Yes, and could frame him also for prison time and stuff like that. Anyways, so Xander gets the files. He gets the files, goes out of there, and then she just walks up to him. No problem afterwards. No security guard anywhere. It's like,
no security guard.
We have no idea what happened there.
Yeah.
No idea.
No clue.
So, of course, Giles is talking with Buffy on the phone, saying that, or talking with Willow and stuff like that, saying maybe it's she's overthinking it. Maybe it's the kids, just see the adults as true selves and stuff like that. Saying, well, whatever. I don't think so. Anyways, we already know the truth that there is a monster, but it's always Giles thinking, like, always, what is with all the Scoobies, it seems. Buffy will say something, and not one of them ever just takes her word for it.
Yeah.
Ever. It's always a fight.
I don't get it.
Anyways. I just keep skipping ahead of these things. Anyways, we'll skip ahead to Buffy wandering halls again. Now she sees that kid.
Like Buffy just wandering halls in the hospital she's supposed to be a patient in.
Yeah, she takes out tubes. It doesn't.
None
of all the orderlies are busy walking around there. Diagnosing folks. Why would they bother come in and help fix tubes and stuff like that? Didn't see a nurse in the entire hospital. I can tell you that.
This is atrocious medical care.
Yeah. The kid's saying, "Oh, you got to stay back. I'm contagious." He says, I got the same thing as you. And then notice he's drawing the monster. And I just want to say about this drawing of the monster, that's way better than I could do.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the kid draws a fairly accurate monster. So it didn't get those weird teeth things that this guy, whatever. So Buffy promises she's not going to let it harm any of them. Kid's like, oh, you can't fight death. What's the matter? So Willow and Giles discover that Dr. Backer have a history of risky procedures and malpractice suits. But you always had the parents okay
Always
with it,
had
I
the
guess.
parents okay with it.
Yeah. Giles, they're starting to get a little concerned for the kid. We see Dr. Bacchus, or Backer. What do I want to say? Bacchus. Dr. Backer in his office. And we see Xander nodding off in the waiting room and Cordy coming around with coffee and donuts.
Krispy Kreme donuts, which I didn't even know existed back then.
Winnipeg just got a Krispy Kreme donuts, like it's always Tim Hortons or whatever. The lineup just to get into the place on the opening day was 6 hours long. For Krispy Kreme donuts.
I don't understand. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. It might be controversial. I don't understand what's so special about those donuts.
Well, I'm not waiting. I wouldn't wait 15 minutes for donuts.
No.
Not in this country. Kidding me? It's almost unpatriotic to do it. Anyways, so we see Backer go to the kids' rooms and he's adding stuff to an IV. He's waiting, and all of a sudden, something invisible starts attacking him, ripping at him, throwing him around.
Yeah.
Buffy goes to him. She gets knocked away. Then Backer's body thrown into the hall and then just dragged off. Well, Buffy just watches this happen. She wasn't unconscious. She was like, eh.
No, she just let it happen.
Yeah, she wasn't even feeling that bad because she couldn't see the guy.
Yeah.
Well, I've done what I can. You know what? He's there to save the kids anyways. So Scooby's come in the next day. They said that Tina girl died of fever, but at the same time looked like she was improving. And so Willow says they checked out Backer, not a great guy, blah, blah, blah. Buffy says, guys, like, believe me when I say this, it ain't Backer. Because that dude shredded him. No problem. So she needs to do something so she can fight this thing. Giles is concerned that Buffy made that drawing that the kids did, which I thought was fun.
I thought that was funny.
I like the look she gives him, like he's a huge asshole just for mentioning it. Anyways, Cordy reminds her that you could see it the other night, but couldn't the night before. Oh, I wonder why that was. Well, just in time, Joyce walks in and asks if she was interrupting a secret meeting. It's not the only time this happens, but anyways. Buffy says, "Oh, it looks like you're free to go here, Buffy." And she says, "Well, you know what? Her symptoms are flaring up. Got to stay." Mom says, "Yeah, okay." So, I guess I don't know how. Like, I live in Canada, we have free medical care here. Thank you very much. I don't know how it works in the States. I thought it would be expensive for them just.
I'm sure it was very expensive.
Joyce works as a director of an art gallery in a 2-star town. I don't know how good her medical thing is, but you know what? She's all right. Well, I'll talk to the doctor and tell her, well, you're wrong. Buffy needs to stay. So whatever. So also we get to hear about Willow and Xander playing doctor as a kid.
This was funny.
Yeah, but it was literal. Willow doesn't know how to play it. Yeah, and she says, "What do you mean?" Anyways, they decide, well, you know, we got to split up again, figures this stuff out. Willow's going to stick around with Buffy so that if they go to Backer's office, she'll be able to diagnose the jargon. Xander's going to stay just in case Angel shows up again so he can, talk to him again, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Threaten them with other people again, I guess. Giles has to take Cordy Uh, he says flat out, well, what do I have to, what do I get, Cordelia? And Cordelia has to remind him about that whole tact thing again. So,
Yep.
yeah. She does tell Xander to be careful, which is, which is nice for Cordelia. We're
Hmm.
seeing maybe a softer side of Cordelia. You never know. Anyways, this is when Willow and Buffy go to Backer's office, where he keeps a refrigerator there with
Yeah.
highly contagious viruses.
Yeah. Didn't make any sense. Doesn't make any
Right
sense whatsoever.
next to his Dr. Pepper. So Buffy grabs the vial. She's about to down the old hatch. The entire thing. Will has to go. That is 100% pure, and you will obviously be instantly dead. So she puts a drop in. They have this beaker, but only
Hmm.
about that much water, and it's a pretty big
Yeah.
drop she puts in there. Buffy says it
Yeah.
has to work faster, and adds another thing. It's like, all right, gee whiz. And also, that's a virus they're putting into that thing.
Yeah.
Willow was carrying her around.
Hmm.
How was Willow not incredibly sick?
Yeah. It makes no sense. Everything about this episode makes no sense.
Yeah. That Rosenberg Constitution, I guess. I don't
I
remember.
guess.
I don't remember Willow ever getting sick in this show. Maybe she's just one of those types. Anyways, uh, back at the library, Cordelia is royally pissing off Giles, asking what each and every gross-looking monster ever did. Giles says, this one kept asking annoying questions. And da, 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 da. Anyways, close the book
I
and a
loved her
bang.
response. I loved her response to that. It was like, wow, there's a demon for everything.
She's pretty smart. So she closes the book and blammo. There's our pal right on the front. So once again, writing, of all history of monsters, they seem to get it pretty quick. So they
Hmm.
find out this Freddy Krueger dude, is called Der Kindestod.
Sure.
Or child's death, or like infant's death, which isn't very, it's not the nicest thing to be named, a family name. So what it does is it sucks the life out of kids, but afterwards it looks like they died just from being sick. So Giles shows a picture of how it attacks its victims. It grosses Cordelia out. We will see what that looks like. I'm sure it was one of your favorite parts of the entire episode.
I absolutely hated that part. It was my least favorite part of the episode.
Yeah, so it pins them down and it sucks out their life. Yeah. Weirdly, Giles says that would be a horrifying for the victim. I thought, what's that?
You don't say, Giles.
What's that Norm Macdonald line where it's like they say, drowning. They say it's very peaceful and stuff like that. But getting the life sucked out of you while you're pinned down by a monster, not so much. So, anyways, we get to the final flashback of this episode. Buffy watching as her cousin shrieks in terror, arms flailing, as she says, I don't know what to do. Celia, I don't know what to do. That's it. That's it. If you're 8 years old and you see your cousin die, shrieking the entire way, do you think you would, that's something you may have brought up more than once?
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty much the origin story, of how you become a supervillain or something like that. That'd be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so Buffy realized, it's the Kindestod killed Celia. So now this is personal. Never mind that he's killing other kids. He killed their cousin way back when.
Mm-hmm.
So, she takes the medicine. She's lurking around again. They're trying to get to the kids' the kids' room and stuff like that. They take a look inside. It's like, oh, the kids aren't there. In that room, in that
Yeah.
children's hospital room, is a door leading to the basement.
It makes no sense. This would never happen in an actual hospital. Like, what?
Nope, they don't even lock it. That that thing is free for them to use at their leisure.
Yeah.
And obviously, nobody goes really into check because there's kids walking in and out of that thing all the time. The only time they ever show up is when dies. Anyways, so Buffy's like, okay, we got to do something about this. Uh-oh, here comes the security guards again. So, or sorry, the doctor first. So they get, oh, we got to get out of here. So they get the doctor's calling security. Security shows up. And that's when Willow does the whole frog thing. It's like all the frogs are getting off me to distract them long enough for Buffy, who had to be dragged there, makes a speedy getaway.
Yeah.
Again,
Makes
no problem.
sense.
Again, just wanted to mention another frog reference from Willow and Rosenberg. Anyways, somehow Buffy has found Xander. Now she asks him to help her get to the basement. Turns out that der Kindestod chasing the kids down there very slowly. He's taking his time doing this and stuff like that. You know, he may be old, der Kindestod. Maybe he's he doesn't have the wheels he once did for kid killing. But Ryan's down there. He's got a bunch of kids. They just find a spot against the wall and says, "Oh, guys, we're going to be safe right here.
We're going to hide right here in plain sight."
As soon as he does, he's grabbed. Next we see, again, Xander and Buffy. Again, them, methodically, I guess. I'm trying to figure out ways in my head how to say the word slowly differently. So now it's methodically making their way downstairs and stuff like that. And Xander's asking her, how are you going to kill something that you can't even see or whatever? And she says, I'm going to use violence. He says that's a solid call. And, I like it too. I like if you're going to kill something, violence is the way. So they get to the basement. Now they can finally start running. Der Kindestod just picks up Ryan, throws him a pretty good distance. Seems pretty pleased with itself as well. Eventually, of course, climbs on top of him. Now is when we get to see.
This is gross, and it's going to haunt my nightmares for a long time now.
It just gets over him, and then the eyeballs just going to protrude out the head. Little sucker things.
Gross. Utterly gross.
Here, it's like it's pretty good. So, anyways, before it latches on, but before there's any life sucking, Buffy hits him just with a board. Somehow she picked up in the basement. Xander's. Oh yeah, I forgot. If this episode isn't cheesy enough, she gives maybe the cheesiest line, maybe of the series. It's up there. When she hits the Der Kindestod or Der Krugerstad, and just says, "You make me sick."
Yeah.
Not the best. So, anyways, they're fighting. Xander starts gathering up kids, but of course, has to stop and watch Buffy fight for a minute. Fight nothing, that is. But the Kindestod all of a sudden gets an upper hand and has Buffy down. And all of a sudden, it's eyeballs time again.
It's the same exact shot, too.
Yeah. One thing you've noticed throughout all of this is when he's pinning these kids down, their arms are free to flail. So it's his fatal flaw, it turns out, because he's like, well, why bother pinning this person's arms down who's been fighting me? I'll just let her have free reign with them, and she uses that free reign to snap his neck. So we get yet another episode featuring a good old fashioned neck snapping dealing.
Yeah.
Xander just helps her upstairs. Xander, of course, a little concerned about possible vomit ending up on him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's it. So we get to the end of the episode. They're all over at Buffy's in bed. Did you ever envision Buffy being a crustless PB&J girl?
No. Nor a crunchy peanut butter.
You don't like crunchy peanut? I prefer it.
No.
I like crunchy peanut butter.
No.
So, anyways, should we also know Buffy's drink, which is 2 parts OJ, 1 part grapefruit. I would add at least 1 part vodka to that. It'd be fun. Perhaps 1 part rum. Also, what's with Xander going after the cheesy chips like this? Let Joyce have her cheesy chips.
Yeah.
She did that on purpose. Unbelievable. Yeah. And Willow's giving her drink orders and stuff like that. I don't know. The worst part is all of a sudden she's just like, oh, you got a letter here. And it's a letter from that Ryan kid. So
yeah, he just somehow has Buffy's address.
Buffy's address. And he just decided to send her a picture of her snapping that monster's neck and blood spurting out everywhere. There was no blood. But there was a little artistic license in there and stuff like that. So, and again, God's better than me, so what am I going to do? All right. So, maybe this was a low point, definitely of the season. Maybe for the series.
I was reading on Wikipedia in Vox's list of the 144 episodes, their rankings. This was 134 out of 144.
I was like going through and stuff like that. It's like I'm just thinking like it's just that I've seen this so much and finally just taking a critical kind of eye to it and say there's a lot of people that really enjoy this episode somehow. It's like I guess
I don't know how you can enjoy this episode.
Some of them just find the monster creepy.
I guess.
So that's it. So yeah, all right. I don't know. Like this thing, like when I was a kid, Freddy Krueger bothered me. This thing does not bother me at all. It's whatever. You know what? This is like one of those what is it? Etsy or whatever. This is the Etsy version of Freddy Krueger or whatever. Not as advertised. Anyway, so
yeah.
Low point definitely of the season. I would say series. It's good. It's going to be a low point in the series. I would say probably bottom 5, but I think things are going to turn around here, Delia.
Okay.
Because next week we get an episode that starts planting some seeds into a couple people's minds, where maybe the series could actually become a franchise. So the episode next week is called "I Only Have Eyes for You." And it is an absolute classic. That's the one we'll talk about next time on Rewatchers Council. Adelia, we did it. We goddamn got through it. We got through it, and we're still okay.
We are.
We almost feel like we got the life sucked out of us by the episode, but we made it.
I definitely did feel that way while watching this episode. So
holy cow! All right,
I did not like it at all. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Yeah, this they can't all be winners.
No, they can't all be winners.
You can't have 144 absolute favorites. All right, Adelia, where can the good people watching or listening, find you here on the internet at all?
You can find me over on the Highlights channel, Starting 11, coming back August 13th. It's going to be at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be doing it live. That'll be our English Premier League preview show for the upcoming season. And then Starting 11 will be live Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific every week after that. So that's exciting.
Yes.
And then you can also find me on tomorrow night on this channel, the Entertainment Channel, with Ferris doing the Open Table. We're going to be talking about the Olympics and how we're obsessed. on the open table. That's 8 p.m. Pacific. Right here. Links to both the channels are in the description of this episode. Please subscribe. We really appreciate it. Ferris and I have also been reviewing the In the Arena Serena Williams series that's on ESPN over on the Highlights channel. So if you're at all interested in tennis, do check that out. Snark, where can people find you?
Oh, you'll find me at my cabin this weekend talking with, well, you, our friend Ferris, that Brazilian guy Danny, LGRN actor Snark. What are we talking about? Deadpool and Wolverine. We'll be talking about. I think we're talking about San Diego Comic-Con. Kind of as a whole. That's going to be fun. Do some relaxing out in nature. Get bit by mosquitoes. But you know what?
That does not sound fun.
Well, it's better than having to stay for work. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
What else is going on? Yeah, just I'll be on the starting 11 will be coming up very soon. I can't wait. I watched the Chelsea match last night. Club America, but still we scored 3 goals. So there you go. Yeah. If only every Premier League club had the talent pool of a Club America, we could be very competitive this year. I think there's 8 goaltenders on. We're paying for 8 goalkeepers right now.
Yeah, you guys have an absurd amount of goalkeepers.
It's bananas. Maybe we'll just fill out an all goalkeeper squad. Maybe that'll be the new thing or whatever. 8 goalkeepers and we'll put a striker up there. Cole Palmer will still be good for a goal or 2. All right. Anyways, that's it for us.
And of course, Rewatchers Council every Thursday on this channel.
That's right. Sometimes alive, as we were tonight. And sometimes, with our full production going on because and all the edits and stuff we do and stuff like that too. We go live to tape, guys. Live to tape, as they used to say in TV land. All right. Until then, on behalf of us here on the Let's Get Ready Network, bye-bye.